And on that bombshell, welcome to 44 on 1. I am Tempest. This is GVizzle, your comedy duo of today, who can't control her laptop.
No, I can't. I have a question for you today. It's called a musical reversal.
Okay.
Assume everything about your musical taste were reversed overnight.
Yeah.
Everything you once loved, you now hate. Everything you once hated, you now love. For example, if your favorite band has always been REM, they will suddenly sound awful to you. They will become the band you dislike the most. By the same token, if you've never been remotely interested in the work of Yes or Jethro Tull, those two groups will instantly seem fascinating. If you generally dislike jazz today, you will generally like jazz tomorrow. If you currently consider the first album by Veruca Salt to be slightly above average, you will abruptly find it to be slightly below average. Everything will become its opposite, but everything will remain in balance, and the rest of your personality will remain unchanged. So in all likelihood, you won't love music any less or any more than you do right now. There will still be artists you love and who make you happy. They will be merely the artists you currently find unlistenable. Now, it's a long question, unnecessarily long question. Now, I concede that this transformation would make you unhappy, but explain why.
Why would it make me unhappy?
Yeah.
Because I love Metallica and Rammstein, and I don't want to hate them. And the other thing is like, in the question, it's kind of saying that it's flipped, right? So yes. I would know my previous self. I would know what I once loved, and then now yes. I can't listen to them anymore.
Yes.
Yeah. So I would know I used to love these bands, and that yes. they were dear, and you know, I loved them, and I listened to them every day. And
but now you hate them.
Yeah. I'm just gonna jump off the viaduct, I think. Really? I'm not really.
What's I'm hung up on this is that I don't see how this would make me unhappy.
Yeah. Okay.
Like I don't, because I mean, I'd have some t-shirts that I couldn't wear anymore, but that would be about it. Because if you still like things, then you just like new things. Like I don't see what the big deal is.
Well, that's a good point.
Although I wonder if it's just like a one-time switch. Because if it just happens the once, then it's like, okay, I've got to replace my Clash t-shirts with my Backstreet Boys t-shirt. Like I got to swap that out. But once that reversal is done, okay, it's done. But does it happen every time? Like if I then today love Yanni the Pan Flute Master all of a sudden, tomorrow do I hate him again and I like something else? Like, is it a continual flip or just a one-shot deal?
Who is Yanni the Pan Flute Master?
The name really says it all. He is a man named Yanni, and he is the Pan Flute Master.
Wow.
You're missing out in the UK. Maybe it's Yanni. I think it's Yanni, the Pan Flute Master. He plays a pan flute.
And is he a master of it?
Yeah, you bet your ass he is.
How complicated can he get? Can he play like Bach or Handel? Or?
I'll probably Smoke on the Water.
Is he like sarcastically good?
No. Let's see, Yanni the Pan Flute Master. He's got a best of.
Oh my god. And I'm gonna like this.
You're gonna fucking love it.
It's gonna be my love music.
So yeah, you will be like people who used to follow the Grateful Dead. You'll be following. I mean, that was pretty good. Yeah, I admit. But yeah, so you would be upset because you would have the memory of loving the thing.
Okay, I tell you what though, I've kind of, because what you said kind of brought it into a bit more contrast for me. Because what I have noticed with these questions that we've been doing, I always start from the most pessimistic, miserable scenario I can think of. And then through the conversation, I gradually work my way forwards. And then it gets a bit better and I'm a bit happier with things.
You're half empty, I'm half full, we'll meet in the middle.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
you're okay with it now. You're okay that you will
Well,
never love Metallica again.
I figured I'd put a new spin on it, right? Because, in my X number of years I've been alive, all 57 of them, and I look young for my age. I've been listening, since I was about 13 or like 12 or 13, I've been listening to the same kind of music, right? I like most kinds of music, but I really love metal and punk rock and stuff. And that means then that there's this whole catalogue of music I've never even bothered listening to. And so the positive spin would be, I now have access to that. Like, I now like it. So now I can experience all this new thing in the world.
That's a very good way to look at it. I think what would be daunting is trying to figure it out, because I know where to find music that I like because I've liked it for so long. But if tomorrow I was really into country, I don't know where to start. Like, I don't know, is it old country? Is it new country? Like, I have a half a dozen country songs that I quite like because they're like comedy country, but I wouldn't even know where to begin. But then once you figure that out, okay.
I love it when your brain gets ahead of your talking. Yeah.
Okay. So I would generally say that I don't like country music. So by this reversal, I would like country music, but I also know that there are a couple of country artists that I do enjoy. So maybe I have this entire time been a closeted country fan, and now with this reversal, I'll hear it and dislike it. And if I dislike it, then I'm like, oh no, all that time I could have been enjoying it. Now,
now who's pessimistic?
And there's nothing really that I like. There's no music that I think I would hate. So I can't imagine, because if I never hated it intensely, am I going to love it as intensely as I love the bands that I love? I don't know.
Yeah, because I
feel like everything will just be mediocre. Everything will be the Foo Fighters. Like, I don't love them, but I don't hate them, and I wish I liked them more, but meh.
But it would, in fact, it would be even worse. It would be all the Foo Fighters ballads that they do that are just the worst part of their music.
No, I'm torn on this one. Because the question says, I concede this will make you unhappy, and I can't see how it would make me unhappy, but I can see how it would be quite confusing.
Yeah.
And expensive. Like, I would have to replace my entire musical catalog.
Yeah. Although thanks to things like Spotify and YouTube, I haven't bought any music for quite a long time. So
that's true. That does make it cheaper.
Yeah. I think that the hard thing is going to be, think about all those hours you put in to curating your musical taste as a teenager, right? But when you're a teenager, you had no responsibilities, nothing. You had all the time in the world to basically party and like music. And I'd go to school. I forget people did that. And then as an adult, you got to try and cram all of that time in about developing your music taste.
And all those useless lyrics now in my head.
Yeah.
Like, I know, like, I know so many lyrics to songs. Like, songs that I even had, like, there are songs I hadn't heard in like 15, 20 years, and they can come on the radio, and I still know every single lyric, and I will know it, and it'll be a thing that I hate that I know. And then I have to learn all these new lyrics. I don't have that kind of capacity.
It gets harder as you get older, doesn't it?
Like, if it wasn't for my phone, I would forget everything. Like, every time something pops into my head, I'm like, I don't need to use my brain to remember that. I will just be like, hey, in an hour, remind me to do this. How am I going to learn all these new lyrics?
This is a horrible, depressing question you've posed.
It is. I know. Let's 17.
Okay. If babies, because I know you like babies and children. So if babies are considered innocent, when do people cease to be innocent?
The first time you feel a man's blood on your hands.
And the follow-up question then would be, GVizzle, how old were you when you first felt a man's blood on your hands?
7.
Little Timmy, that bastard.
Fucking take my spot in line at the lunch line. They're innocent. When do they cease to be innocent? I mean, I guess it depends on the definition of innocent. Because if it's without any sort of sin, then technically lying is a sin, and kids lie from the time they're like, as soon as they can talk, they can lie, right?
Before that, actually.
Yeah, like, did you do that?
Yeah.
So there, that's it. Months old.
Yeah,
months
yeah.
old, they lose their innocence, and then it's downhill from there.
Well, actually, that convent school I went to had argued that it's as soon as you're conceived, you lose your innocence.
Original sin. That's right.
Yeah.
Nobody is without sin.
Fucking Eve, honestly.
But isn't that what, bitches? Isn't that why we get baptized? To like, isn't that the purpose of baptism, is to kind of like release that?
I think so.
Sin?
I think it depends on the denomination, from the bit I understand.
If we are defining innocent religiously, then I would say the first time they lie, disobey their parents, all of that, they say damn it, then that's it. It's over for them. If it's the legal definition of innocence, then they like shoplift something, steal some candy out of the bulk barn at the grocery store. That's it. It's over.
Little bastards. And then they're going to hell, right?
Yeah. Well, no, it depends, because as a Catholic, you can just confess your sins, all is forgiven, and away you go. Yeah. It's some of the stricter religions where they don't accept confession, so you always have to be good. You have to be on point. That's tough. Those are some tough rules. It's an exclusive club.
my uncle, the not so good uncle, not the nice one, he's a Buddhist, but he's like in a really weird sect of it or something, he says. I don't know, I don't listen to half the stuff he says, he's an idiot. But anyway, one of the things he was saying is that there's like a really dark sect of Buddhism where like if they're trying to like clean their spirit and get rid of their version of sins, they have to have sex with like a 10 or 12-year-old virgin, and then it cleans their spirit.
That sounds like the opposite of what should happen in that scenario.
I know, right? That's fucked up.
Well, that is fucked up.
Yeah. So anyway, moving on.
Yeah. On that happy note. So what do you think? What do you think?
Pretty much the same as you, to be honest. It depends on what you define as innocence, and then that'll change what actually is the innocent bit, you know? Like
are there degrees though? I mean, because like saying you didn't steal a cookie from the cookie jar is very different than.
You still lost your innocence then, though, because
yeah, that's true.
I think if I was going to talk about it from a psychological perspective, I would probably say it's when you learn theory of mind. So theory of mind is when you can understand that you, as everything about you, is an individual entity from someone else, and then that person has thoughts and beliefs and perceptions that are different to yours. So that's where deception comes from. If you can understand that somebody doesn't know what your thoughts are, that means that you know you can deceive them. And then there's like been studies done on that, like 1 or 2 year old children can deceive their parents. You know, like even cats do it, like deceive their own.
My mom's dog does it.
Yeah.
She fakes a cough so she can get a little bit of honey.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
And kids, like, I remember my niece being like super young. Like she was in a high chair. So she must, I don't know how old children are in high chairs. I don't know. I know she wasn't 8. Like she was in a high chair.
She might have been.
She was trying to get something. She was trying to get my mom to give her something. So she started crying. And when my mom turned her back, I just looked at her and I was like, I know you're faking it. And she just smiled.
That's amazing.
Kids know. They know how to get you.
Oh, yeah, they do.
You said 272 before?
I did, yes.
That number?
Better be a good one.
We'll see. We've kind of already answered this one. Not today, though. 272. Would you rather there be absolutely nothing after you die, or wander the earth as a ghost, unable to interact with people or things, and be alone for eternity?
I don't even remember what I answered to something like that last time.
It was the stereotypical Jesus.
Yeah.
Similar, but different.
Yeah.
So
I wonder if
nothing.
my answer will change because the context is different. And then the conversation's been set up differently. I'm going to have to go back and watch our previous podcast, everybody.
Make sure you're consistent.
Yeah.
And like and subscribe to this one. I finally remembered.
Yay! I feel like such a shill doing that, though.
I know, me too. It feels dirty, but
yeah.
So nothing after you die or wandering as a ghost forever without being able to interact. Like, this isn't even like Patrick Swayze and Demi Moore type of shenanigans. Like, you can't even knock things off the table to freak people out. Nothing.
Yeah, I think I'd rather there was nothing after I died, because you're not going to know. Whereas being a ghost wandering the earth for eternity, that means after the sun goes red dwarf, you're walking around like a little bubble of rock afterwards.
But you may not be alone. Wait, then you can't interact. Could you interact with other ghosts?
It was very vague. I'm assuming not, because it said you can't interact with anything.
It's true. So I'd rather not have anything either.
Yeah, because I mean, you don't know what it was like before you were born. So, it's horrible.
If at least it was a finite amount of time, like if it said for 1,000 years, I'm like, yeah, I could totes do 1,000 years. But
it'd be fun. Because you're a people.
But I wonder if you were stuck, right? Like in all those movies about ghosts, the ghosts are always stuck in a place that means something to them. So am I going to be stuck in this house for the next 1,000 years? Or would I be able to travel around the globe or planet over the next 1,000 years? Because if I could travel, then yes. If I'm stuck in this house,
boring for 1,000 years.
Sitting here creepily in the window watching the neighbors come and go.
Yeah. And like, if you died, say tomorrow, right? Touch wood. That means then that you would be wandering your house 20 times longer than you were even alive for.
Yeah. And if I couldn't interact, but I wonder, like, because they say animals can see ghosts. So even if I couldn't interact with them, would they
fuck with the pets?
Would they, like, all of a sudden be lying there with my husband, and then I'm in the corner like, hey, and then who's a good boy? Our first dog we had was in our old house, and like a friend of mine was like kind of into mysticism for a while, and she was saying that sometimes in houses there's like a hot spot where if there's a portal where spirits would get in, it would be in that one spot. So it would always get in. So if dogs or cats act strangely around that one spot, then that's where spirits are getting in. So our first dog in our old house, like the door was here. So I would have my back to the rest of the room, and it was my office. And she would come in occasionally. And while I was like, she would like over my shoulder. and I was like, what do you see? What is
it?
Do I need to get my mom over here with some holy water to like splash? So she kind of freaked me out a little bit. So I want to do that to my dogs.
Yeah, freak them out. I think what is probably more likely going on with those dogs and cats is that their range of perception is far beyond what we can even imagine is possible. So they could probably just smell something that's really fucking weird, or there's a vibration or something's happened that we can't see or sense.
Someone has explained to me that, or like I saw this show once, we were talking about like the dog's sense of smell, and that like if you were to walk into a house where someone is making a beef stew, you would smell beef stew. Where a dog can smell the carrots, the onions, the thyme, the rosemary, like every individual ingredient, they can smell it. So it would be like, I imagine it would be overwhelming. And we were at my mother-in-law's over the weekend, and they're on a lake and there's a dock, and there was something under the dock that regardless of like where Gozer was, whenever he got near that area, he was drawn to it and like trying to get under the dock to see what was there. So there was some smell that like I had to keep luring him back with treats so he wouldn't like drown himself under
Well, that's the thing. Well, because dogs have synesthesia, don't they? So they can see smells.
Yes.
Yeah. Especially the ones they make. But it's even with the smell thing, it's a good analogy, but it's even more intense than that. They can smell the people that have handled it. So like they know where it's come from. They can smell like the grocery store on it.
I wish they would tell me like before I put a bite in my mouth just to see goes or like.
No, don't do that one. That bitch from down the street
touched
touched that.
Yeah, the produce guy was suspicious.
Yeah.
I can smell his ass on that tomato.
Yeah. Exactly.
I had a friend of mine. So where we worked together and where we worked, they used to bring in lunch often. And her sense of smell was so good. Like she could be sniffing drugs out at the airport. I'm not calling her a dog. I'm just saying it was that refined. We would walk into the lunchroom, and if they had like egg salad sandwiches or tuna fish sandwiches, she could from across the room say, "Don't eat the tuna," because she could smell that like the mayonnaise was just ever so slightly going off,
weird.
or like that there was So like every time we'd go pick something up, we'd look at her and she'd be like, "It's okay."
You should have called a Jack Russell or something.
It was crazy. And meanwhile, like I don't have the greatest sense of smell. You get it, right? Like I'll open up a pack of chicken breast and I'm practically like, does this smell okay to you?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, brilliant.
Next question. So 13.
Ooh, okay. You might like this one. It's kind of shit you're always bringing up. If humanity was put on trial by an advanced race of aliens, how would you defend humanity and argue for our continued existence?
I wouldn't. We had a good run.
Again with the pessimism.
I think it's making space for something else. Something's got to come next. I'm thinking of like every cheesy movie that I've watched, and I think I actually just like read a book or listened to a book about this where they were like, love, our capacity to love is what's, but I don't think that's it. I think it could, our capacity when demonstrated to be compassionate. Okay. I think that could set us apart, right? Because if you are, and our capacity, no, because animals can learn too, but like there are some animals in the wild where if one of their pack is injured, they don't try to fix that injury. They're just like, all right, well, them eating you is going to give us a head start. And there we go. But our capacity to want to take care of and heal people and to move on together, I think that compassion and that, you know, like you have these GoFundMes for people that are across the world that you're never going to meet, you're never going to know, but people will donate their time and their money and their food and whatever to try to help out people that they don't know. I think our capacity for compassion could be what puts us out there. I mean, on a global scale, individually, we're a bit of a shit show, but on a global
scale, if you raise,
we'd have to say like, ignore those groups.
I think if you raise it to the population level as the world as a whole, it's more good than it is bad.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think for me, I'd probably, this is why you can't just get one person arguing it. Because my approach would have been about the potential, like we're a young species. Like, you know, when you've got like neonates of any animal or human or whatever, it's all about the potential that that thing holds to grow and be what it's like, you know, to have its own destiny. That's what the League of Nations was supposedly about. Yeah,
but I mean, our potential has, like, in a very short, like, we're exceedingly young, and in a very, very short amount of time, we have fucked the planet up. Like,
but there are a lot of us trying to rectify that issue.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah. So, like, it's because I think a lot of the problems that exist is because we didn't know there were problems at the start.
That's true. It's like when I told you that story about my dad and his nosebleeds, and the doctor told my grandmother, get him a pack of cigarettes and it'll stop his nosebleeds. Like, you didn't know what you didn't know until you know. Yeah. But then even then, we still don't know. Like, look at the poor egg. That poor egg. Delicious egg.
Yeah.
It's good for you. It's bad for you. Then it's good for you again. Then it's bad for you again. Like, no one can decide.
Yeah.
If the egg is good or bad. If we can't decide about eggs, how is an alien species going to decide about us?
Yeah, exactly. Should they be deciding? And that's another part of the argument. Should you really be deciding our destiny? Exactly.
What makes you the authority on that?
Yeah.
Prove to us that you can judge us, and then we will allow us to be judged.
No, that's good. That's a good point. Yeah. Yeah. Fuck you, aliens.
Yeah. Like I have no business judging a gymnastics routine,
Yeah.
but I can judge like potentially grammar sometimes. If I can judge a spelling bee, but I can't judge the luge.
Where did the luge come from?
I just wanted to say luge.
Oh,
That's a good word.
what was in your coffee?
Just coffee and optimism. Pick a number between 1 and 350.
To compose myself for a second. My face is starting to hurt again. 126, please.
Would you rather never be able to leave your own country or never be able to fly in an airplane?
Oh, well, I have to pick the second one.
Because it does make sense because there's tons of ways to travel unless these were
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not
going to go old school. I wonder when these questions must have been written when it took like 18 years to get across the Atlantic.
Yeah, or when it was like Oregon Trail days.
Yeah. Although, I mean, Canada is I would like to see more than it, but Canada is a pretty big country. So if I was going to be stuck in a country, this is a pretty good one to be stuck in because it's very diverse.
Yeah.
Geographically.
And the other thing is like, because it's about your country. So Canada's fine. Like, because like you say, it's just diverse. There's just everything in one country.
Huge.
I've got a piece of shit country. I live on a fucking island. With a bunch of morons and imbeciles, and they run the government.
There's morons and imbeciles everywhere.
Yeah, I know, but some countries is more palatable than others.
We're just more spread out in Canada.
Yeah.
We have more square footage.
Exactly. At least I could go to a cabin in the woods, But like here, we don't have that. It's like we're all kind of squashed in. It takes us like twice as long to get anywhere as it does for you because we didn't have city planning when we built our cities. So, it's a shit show over here, honestly.
I don't know. So where I grew up it's not far from where I'm currently living, but it has grown significantly in population in the past several years. And they keep putting up like these massive sky-rise condos, but they're not changing the infrastructure. So the roads are still the same. The transit system is still the same. So when we lived there, I worked literally 4.5 kilometers away from home. And it would take me 25 minutes to drive there.
Okay.
Because it was so congested and it was such a busy place, where my husband worked like 10 kilometers away from home and it would take him 10 minutes to get there because he was going in like the opposite direction. So in many places, the city's growth has outpaced the infrastructure.
Totally. Yeah, and
that's a geography lesson for.
Yeah. Well, when I went to Calgary, it very much looked like that because there was a lot of sort of new building work going up, and you could just tell that like the infrastructure was creeping a bit, creaking, not creeping. And
but then there are other parts of Canada where like you drive for like there's jokes that like you can watch your dog running away from home for 3 days because there's nothing to see. Whereas like
Saskatchewan.
Yeah.
Well,
here it's just congested.
When I went to Saskatchewan, and then it was just the sunset would just last for hours, just because there was nothing to block it.
Beautiful though.
Yeah, totally. And you could just, I don't know, it's just so flat. But it was beautiful. Like just watching those sunsets and stuff for literal hours, sitting in the snow with some beer and just watching the sunset, just chatting shit. It was great. So would a government run with algorithms, AI, and statistics be better or worse than the government that we have now? By we, I mean, I guess as American, I guess you have the similar government. So
if the TikTok algorithm is anything to go by, I'd say worse.
Yeah. And the China social credit.
I mean, human intervention isn't always amazing, but there needs to be some sort of human intervention. Otherwise, it becomes like iRobot. We're gonna do what's best for you, even if it means destroying you. So yeah, I'm not down with that.
Yeah, because I just feel like it's kind of left-wing authoritarianism personified. It's just like, well, the computer says you've got to do it this way, so we're doing it this way.
Yeah. There needs to be some. You can't build empathy into a computer.
No. Well, it's like you said earlier about the compassion thing. You need the human capacity for compassion, so that because somebody that's making decisions is able to think like, okay, well, this might be the most efficient way of doing it, but also I understand humanity and that sometimes you've got to pay a cost and be a bit less efficient to help people.
Absolutely. 1 in 350.
350.
Oh, would you rather have all drugs be legalized or dueling between consenting adults be legalized?
Well, easy one for me. All drugs should be legal. We shouldn't criminalize drug use because it stigmatizes people. And also some people need them. So yeah.
I agree. I think they just need to have resources to help people and to teach people how to do it responsibly.
Yeah, and then I think that is exactly it, because the problem isn't the drugs themselves. The problem is your relationship with drugs. The vast majority of people in society that have used alcohol or drugs of some kind, let's not forget that alcohol is a drug, nicotine is a drug, and nicotine is the most addictive substance on earth. It's harder to give up than crack. Like, I mean, you've given up nicotine. So
but not the crack. No, just kidding.
But you're not kidding. Those aren't your real teeth.
I've never tried the crack, but
and
it's true though. But what always killed me is like people who would, I mean, marijuana is legal in Canada now, but there was like this whole, like every time they try to like keep marijuana illegal, especially like, you know, I think in a lot of the United States, it's still illegal. It's like, I wonder how many of those lawmakers then go celebrate their victory with a drink. And
yeah, exactly.
Same, like just
alcohol has destroyed far more lives than all other drugs combined. You know?
Yeah, and I mean, some of them are pretty benign, like marijuana.
Yeah. No one commits crimes while they're on weed. Like, it just doesn't happen.
Just crimes against their cupboards.
Yeah.
Chips versus the this.
Yeah. Crimes against the diet plan.
So yeah, I agree with you. Although dueling, I mean, not that I think we should duel, but what kind of duel? Like if they were bringing it back.
Well, technically, dueling is still legal in some parts of the United States, in the sense that Seattle has what's it called? I can't remember the law, but it's still legal now that if two people are fighting fisticuffs, the police just stand and watch and wait for them to duke it out. So,
really?
Yeah. I don't know how it's enforced now, but it's still a law that they can do that.
So it wouldn't be like the 10 paces.
Oh, no. That'd be cool.
I'd like to joust. That would be cool.
Oh, that'd be amazing, wouldn't it? Well, you could join a Renaissance fair or something. You get them over in North America.
No, that's not my thing.
Get like a nice little pointed hat like Guinevere and nice pretty dress.
No, that would definitely not be my
Yeah.
No,
Find your very own Lancelot.
I give off more village idiot vibes, I think.
It'd just be you and Gozer sitting by the town well.
Zool, don't forget Zool.
No, because Zool's not dumb enough for that, so she'll be like
That's
running
true.
the show, and then it should be you and Gozer, just like the comedy duo.
It would be like in the cartoons when you see them walking with like trombone music.
No, you're what's his face, Scooby Doo and Thingy-majiggy.
Scrappy? Scooby and Shaggy?
Yeah, Shaggy and Scooby. There you go. And Zool.
Zool's Scrappy Doo.
Yeah.
Number 3, please.
Okay, here we go. God, you picked the longest questions.
Oh.
If someone you loved was killed right in front of you, but someone created a copy of them that was perfect right down to the atomic level, would they be the same person and would you love them just as much?
Yes and yes. I mean, down to the atomic level, it doesn't get more them than that. I guess this would be if you believed in souls. Like, could you recreate a soul? But I don't believe in souls, so I would say yes. Could I, as they were building the new version, could I request some tweaks?
Well, the thing is, it's not stated in the question. So I take the opinion that if they don't say you can't do something, then I just like to assume that you can.
So then as it's built, because I imagine it would be kind of like, you ever seen like a dot matrix printer? Like it comes out one line at a time.
Yeah.
Like if they start, the copy is made that way. I'm like, oh, sort out that weird scar on the knee. And you could just kind of,
and then you could do that with the personality, because it's down to the atomic level, right? So it's all about your synapses and your memory and everything. So everything is going to be, so it's basically going to be a complete duplicate of that person.
Yeah. So then if it's a complete duplicate to that person, then it's, yeah, it'd be fine.
So you'd be like, yeah, can you make sure that, like, you know, he puts the toilet roll on the toilet roll holder properly?
Yeah, I would. That's the thing. I would make that upgrade.
Yeah. We have the reverse problem in here. I'm the one that puts it on properly. Mm-hmm.
Over or under?
It kind of depends on what time of night it is. I like to put it over the top, so then I pull it down and then it unrolls like that. Does that make sense?
Yes, that's the way the patent was written. So that is the correct way to do it. Yeah, if it's, I mean, I think it would be the mental image of them being murdered in front of you would probably be a difficult one to let go of.
Yeah.
But if they were the exact same person, then yeah, they're the exact same person.
I think.
I wonder if you'd make fun of them, like you cried like a little bitch when you got stabbed.
Yeah. You should have seen it. Oh my god, I'm dying. Save me, GVizzle. You
begged so much. Like, oh, you're the same person, but I didn't know you were such a pussy.
Or maybe I should have added masculinity by 10%.
It's like when you get an upgrade in a video game, right? Like you can upgrade your shield, you can upgrade like your mana. I'm thinking of like Diablo. It's like, I love that game. Just kind of like tweak some stuff.
You like Diablo? Oh.
Loved it.
It's one of my favorite games.
Mine too. I think I replayed it like a dozen times. It's one of those games that like whenever I would get bored, I'm like, oh, let's throw Diablo in.
Yeah, even the original one, I still play it from time to time. So I click.
The original one's my favorite.
Yeah, same. We don't have to worry about that question because we have been carbon copied, and they just gender swapped us.
That's true. I mean, 7 billion people on the planet. It's ran out of molds. She just had to like shake up the different personality types a little bit.
I wonder though if there's people out there that look exactly like us, but the opposite personalities.
I wonder how long it would take to figure that out. Like if you walked down the street and you saw someone that looked exactly like you, how long into the conversation would you have to be, or how many questions would it take before you realize like, no, I don't care for you at all?
I don't know, because it's quite a tough one, isn't it? Because on the personality level, like, because we clicked really quick, so like within like 10 minutes or something. But then if they look like you but act differently, because then you kind of bond on like a rapport level because you look the same and you've got the same mannerisms perhaps, but then I don't know, because I'm very much based on personality. That's like the first thing I look for in a person is how I blend with them on that level. Like everything else comes later. So I don't know. It wouldn't take me long to think, oh, I don't like that one. That's why I don't like many people.
Fair. Same.
Oh,
your turn.
19.
Would you rather have this is another flight or travel one. Would you rather have unlimited international first class tickets or never have to pay for food at restaurants?
Well, I think unlimited first class tickets, because that is going to far outweigh in terms of cost anything I could ever possibly spend in a restaurant. I think. I mean, like,
Would you,
go,
but you would probably choose different restaurants. Like you wouldn't be going to
I
like
don't know.
Maccadee's. You'd be like going to ultra fine dining restaurants.
Well, it depends though on who I've got to impress and stuff. I mean, if I'm just going out for myself,
Yourself.
yeah, it don't matter then. I'm quite. I don't want to go to somewhere I feel uncomfortable. I'm going to go somewhere
That's
that
true.
I like.
That's true, because in an ultra fine dining restaurant, like I wouldn't even know how to get a table at those. It's not like my
Exactly.
name's gonna go far, right? So do you know, interestingly, so Jamie Lee Curtis, because she's a lady,
Mm.
lady,
I have heard that.
yes. When she's in America and she calls a restaurant to get a table, she says that she's Jamie Lee Curtis because that gets her further into the door. But when she's in the UK, she has to say she's lady guest because royalty gets her, or like nobility gets her through the door, is more than her being a movie star.
Oh, weird. Didn't know that.
Now you do.
Fucking royalty. Is everything wrong with our country?
I'm going to take. Did I say 34? Have I already gone to the big
Let's
last
have a
one?
look. No, you haven't.
Okay, 34.
It's a good one though. It's something we've briefly spoken about before, offline. Does marriage as an institution need to be updated, or is it fine how it is?
I think it's fine how it is because, I mean, maybe the out clause needs to be easier because, but I mean, it's not perfect, but it kind of works.
Yeah.
You can add some tweaks to it, but I mean, in different cultures have different religions have different rules around marriage, but essentially, it's not like it used to be where you couldn't get out of it ever.
And I think it's more about society's relationship with marriage. I think is the problem.
Yeah, I mean, people get a little bit weird about it, and like I made a video once about my, like, jokingly talking about how my husband doesn't watch my TikToks, and then someone was like, "Well, maybe because you don't wear a wedding ring." I was like, "The fuck is that?"
What's that got to do with them?
It's a bauble, like it's a trinket, like what?
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand, but it's come up twice. Like there was another video I made where I was talking about my husband's, and someone was like, "It's because you don't wear a wedding ring. Why would he support you if you're not wearing a wedding ring?" It's like,
as if that is the most important thing in a marriage, is the wedding ring.
It was just it was a bizarre comment. I was taken aback by it.
There's loads of reasons like why somebody wouldn't wear their wedding ring. There's multitudes of reasons. Could it be like an allergy? It could be that your fingers get swollen if you wear it, or whatever.
That's mine. My fingers would get, because I'm not like, my husband has like bigger knuckles, so if he can get a ring past his knuckle, then it doesn't matter if his hands swell because it always fits. But my fingers are just kind of like, there's no big knuckle, so my hands swell constantly. So if I get up in the morning and I work out, or when I sleep, my hands are swollen, so I'm not wearing the ring when I sleep. And then I work out in the morning and my hands swell, so I'm not wearing it when I work out. And then when I walk the dogs, my hands get swollen if it's hot outside, so I'm not gonna wear it when I'm walking the dogs. So instead of just constantly taking it off, putting it on, I just leave it off. He knows we're married. I know.
Yeah, the paper says it. You're married.
Yeah, like I don't need to walk around. It's not like anyone's ever walked up to me and been like,
yeah. Do you wanna?
Yeah. No, so it's just
119.
Would you rather live under a sky with no stars at night or live under a sky with no clouds during the day?
Oh, I think no stars at night, because clouds are kind of important.
Is it rain?
Yeah. We're pretty fucked if we don't have them, actually. So, yeah.
But maybe they're there, you just can't see them. Maybe.
I don't know. No, I think you have to be able to, because of the way water works and vapor and stuff. I think they kind of have to be there.
But goes are suspicious of clouds.
Okay, fuck ecology. We don't need to eat.
And in a lot of places, you can't even see the stars at night because of like light pollution.
Exactly. And then at least we would know that we're alone in the universe. We would know for sure because there's nothing.
That would be depressing.
Yeah. In some ways, but then actually, would that not then imply a bit more strongly that there might be a creator behind all of this? Because if there's no other stars, then how did we get here on our own little ball of dust and the big heat thing? You know,
It might just mean that we're in like a globe, like a
yeah,
little
exactly.
snow globe, and there's
Yeah.
like independent little micro snow globes everywhere
And then
that
somebody's
think they're alone, but they're not alone.
It's a conspiracy. Quick, tell Alex Jones.
I knew it.
We could
Finally
get on
figured
info.
Figured it out.
Yeah.
Did you hear that?
Yeah. Was he clawing at the door?
Yeah. Looks like it's time to go.
I think it's time for you to
Fade to black.